Today, I'm going to give you the top 9 unsaturated trends on Etsy. I'm also going to give you examples of how to incorporate these trends in your shop, whether you are selling digital, print on demand, handmade products, or items that are sourced by a seller. Now, just to be clear, we are looking for trends outside of Etsy. We're not looking to Etsy for the trends. I'm finding these trends outside of Etsy, and I'm going to show you how to incorporate that into your shop. Comment below which trend or trends you are excited to try. Now, the first trend is one you could incorporate into any category that you sell in, and it is items with rounded corners. Here we can see from Anthropologie these rounded frames, furniture that has rounded corners, again from Anthropologie. You can see furniture with an arched silhouette as well. Console tables with rounded edges, upholstered furniture with rounded edges. Instead of the traditional square jewelry box, we are seeing a round jewelry box. We're also seeing it with accessories like candles and home decor accents, where we have a rounded dome over the candle. Now, when it comes to Etsy, if you type in chair, what I'm seeing is still a lot of sharper edges, very angular. So we are really not seeing that trend here. Let's take a look at mirrors. I'm seeing this with mirrors, not just in Anthropologie, but also in places like World Market, Target for sure. So we're seeing some of this, but still not much. How about with frames? Okay, here's a circular option, bestseller, but the photo is not optimal. Here's one with the arch, but these are not good listings. So I think there's so much opportunity for someone to come in here and actually create an elevated premium looking listing. Let's say you sell digital products, maybe they're invitations. You can add rounded edges on the design elements that would otherwise potentially be square or rectangular on your digital products. Let's say you are selling print on demand shirts and you are doing some slogans or different sayings. Maybe you put the pattern inside the shape of a square. Well, maybe consider rounding those edges. The next trend started last spring as the wavy trend. It has evolved into not just wavy, but now more squiggles. Here we see this on towels, patterns like rugs. So not only do we have the wavy line, the squiggly line, but we also have scalloped edges on that rug. Stoneware, think pottery, plates. Here we see this on a napkin. This is interesting. This is a bordered wallpaper that is a scalloped edge. So it's not a full wallpaper, it is just the edging. We also see it in ribbon. So instead of just standard edging on a ribbon, you see it with one scalloped edge on the ribbon. We even see it as the edging of a quilt. And when you type in scalloped on Etsy, you can see there's a lot of room for opportunity here. We see it on a stationery set. So this is an example where you could do this with print on demand, just as a border. I see it as trim, wood trim on other products. So you could add a layer of, MDF trim molding that is scalloped stencils, scalloped pillows, scalloped bookshelves. But you can see a lot of this shows opportunity for someone to come in and do this in an optimized way. And you could add a scalloped edge or a wavy edge to really any type of product, whether it's digital, physical, or print on demand. Let's talk about the third trend, which is a pleated detail. With this, we see it with the skirt on a chair. We see it with the ruffles on a pillows. We see pleated fabric creating bows. And if you're a Lululemon fan, then you know you've seen the pleated skirts and skirts. Christmas stockings, think birthday banners, crowns, birthday crowns. And when you look on Etsy for pleated decor or just pleated, we see a lot of curtains. We see some lampshades, which is interesting. We also see pleated fabric. We see pleated ribbon. Okay, so I highly encourage you to incorporate pleated details or pleated looking visuals or graphics into your designs. The next one is fringe trim. Some of it is tulle fringe. We see feather trim as well. It kind of has that fringe look and feel to it. This is done with feather. We see it even in things like jewelry where it is the thread that is the fringe. Accents like towels. Towels is a big one. We also see it definitely on blankets. We're even seeing it on curtains, so more of a vertical look in jewelry. So here's like beaded fringe. That's another angle on this. At the bottom of furniture, we see this as a very subtle accent. Now, when we go onto Etsy and we type in fringe, it was not very helpful because it just pulled up the supply category products. So when we look up fringe wall art, this is where we start to get a wider variety. Now, what I see is some of the more dated macrame mixed in with some of the more trendy modern macrame. Tassels mixed in here as well as accents, but that's something to keep in mind is in the macrame world, we see a lot of fringe and raw edges here, but there is a trendy way to do it and there's more of a 2019 way to do it. Really keep an eye specifically on Pinterest to understand the more trendy ways to bring macrame into your shop if you're wanting to do fringe through macrame wall art. Again, if you don't have physical products, totally fine. Consider bringing this through graphic elements. The next trend, it is the bow structure trend. Now I say structure because it's not just graphics that are bows, but actually a bow structure incorporated into something. And I'll show you what I mean. Here's an example of it with a serving set, right? With the handle as the actual candle, an actual hair clip. It's not just an image or a print of a bow on a normal hair clip, it is the actual hair clip itself. Here we see it as not just a bow print on the shower curtain, but rather an actual bow tied onto the shower curtain. We see it as a bow candle charm, which is really interesting. Now, when we look on Etsy for bow detail, let's say we just type in bow, we are seeing more of it, but I see it mostly on apparel and mugs. So I think there's a ton of opportunity to bring this to Etsy where it's actually a bow structure that is part of another functional item. Now we're going to talk about a color trend. Last spring, we talked about pinks and greens together. Now we're seeing a lot of green by itself. Here we see it even as a frame, and it's not just a subtle green, it's actually a brighter green that we're noticing. Here we see it as an actual lamp base and shade. Here we see it as an all over green wallpaper. Here we see it as a two-tone green piece of art, a green lamp, green wallpaper, again, just by itself without other colors mixed in. So when you type in home decor green, let's take a look. I'm seeing a lot of this more muted sage green and not necessarily the pops of the brighter green. So here we see some of that, right? Etsy's pick. Here we go. Etsy's pick again with a brighter green. But the tone of the green I do think is missing. It's a lot of the sage green, which was popular years ago. I don't think Etsy is up to speed yet with this color trend specifically. So let's say you're doing digital or print on demand, I would actually incorporate it as the main color and potentially the only color with neutrals around it. And that would be a great way to play in this trend. The next trend is the floral all over trend. And I want to bring this up because it is still not saturated on Etsy. Here we see the green trend, but we also see it is definitely a pattern with flowers in it. So it's not only flowers, there's other things mixed in besides just flowers. And I'm not seeing that in a strong way on Etsy yet. Here's a great example where if you really zoom in, you see bunnies, you see mushrooms. You can definitely understand that there's flowers in it, but it's not standalone flowers. And they're all uniquely different flowers. It's not the same size and the same shape of flower over and over. Here again, right, it's much more of a pattern. And then you're noticing there are flowers in it. Now, when we look on Etsy, what I'm seeing when you type in floral all over, right, you're looking for an all over print, so much outdated stuff here, completely outdated. A lot of blank space in between the flowers. This Hawaiian all over floral print. I think we're missing other elements and we have too much space in there. Okay, we have two more trends that I want to point out. We are seeing an evolution of a trend that I saw last spring, and it is the toile trend. That toile idea of landscapes is now turning into actual scenes on things. For example, here we have a boxed note card set from Anthropology, and these are all scenes and landscapes. Here we see kind of a theme that's very much a niche kind of scene happening. I think thinking of it like a page out of a children's book is actually the best way to look at this. Here we see a blanket with looks like a page from a children's book, right? We also see it in a 3D element with laser cut products. It almost has a vintage inspired feel to it. And when we look on Etsy for this, let's say we type in scene toile, right? We're gonna see the toile, which definitely has picked up since we mentioned it earlier in the year, but we're still not seeing the true scenes happening. You know, it's not like a wide open field. There's like activity, people, things, animals, objects in it. So it's not like just a wide open space. Now, the last trend that I'm seeing is the miniature trend. The way I see this show up as trends is things like mini jewelry cases, a little travel size mini cooler, a little mini retro bag charm, a little mini planter. Look how cute and itty bitty that is. Mini spa roller sets. Look how little and tiny that is. How cute. So almost like travel size versions of things or compact sizes. And mini bouquets. So these are almost like little boutonnieres. And on Etsy, when you type in miniature or miniature, however you want to say it, we see some really bad listings, to be honest. Look at these listings. Look at the lighting, look at the setup. But I do think this is something that will be happening more and more. And I think these products are not just for doll houses. These are also clearly for home decor, for things that have purpose and utility. So the way to incorporate this into your shop could totally be through themed gift boxes. You could do bundles and sets. Let's say you sell candles. Well, instead of 4 6-ounce candles, you are now doing 8 1-ounce candles, and they're cute little jars. If you are selling digital products, consider printables that you could cut out, and that could be very cute, whether these be like bookmarks, these could be gift tags, these could be greeting cards, right? Where people can cut the size down to a smaller version of it. The only category this probably wouldn't work as well with is print on demand, right? Because you have no control over the size and scale of something. I still think there's opportunity for you to incorporate this into your shop, even if you don't want to do physical products. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope these 9 trends that are unsaturated on Etsy are something that you will be looking into, because remember, we do not want to go to Etsy to find what's popular and then just sell that. We need to look outside of Etsy to find the trends that have not yet made it to Etsy so that you can bring it and become a market leader. And just because something exists on Etsy doesn't mean it's saturated with good listings. Is there room to compete? And that is the question. If you liked this trend video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below with your favorite trend and which one you will be trying. And I would love to check out your shop when you implement it. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.
The month before I started the program, I made $696. The first month after joining the coaching program, I made $4,149, and that came from 133 orders in my Etsy shop.